Cormac, year one of CF Bloodstock has gone really well for you, especially with these breeze up horses, and we're approaching into the last of the breeze ups next week at Fairyhouse, and we've seen some of those horses this morning. We'll speak about those in a bit, but going back the way, you made 510,000 sterling for 3 horses at the Craven, and you topped the sale at the Guineas with a horse by Zoffany, who sold for 200,000, who of course you bought from Tattersalls in Fairyhouse for 55,000. So you've made good profit, and you've moved on some nice horses.
Yeah, Davey, it's been a very successful year. I have a great team behind me, and you know, a few guys that invest with me, and I'm glad that it's worked out for them as well, because they kind of, you know, got behind me, and when I'm gone out on my own, and you know, they've been great support. But primarily the team, you know, like I couldn't do without the guys that are in the yard day in day out. When I'm at the sales, like I'm gone for a month on end, and you know, for them guys to be here running the show is great. And obviously Rory Cleary is a big part of that, Paddy Hayes, you know, plenty of other lads. There's no point naming them all, but they're probably the main 2 guys. But yeah, it's down to the team effort really.
Of course, as you mentioned, when you're gone away for quite a while, the breeze up sales are so condensed, so you're always on the go. Once they start, that's it. It's a conveyor belt really, isn't it? Yeah,
it's non-stop. You know, on a plane, off a plane, into a hotel. You know, I enjoy it, like, because I like the excitement of bringing a nice horse to a sale and hoping that it works out. It doesn't always work out. I mean, there's plenty of nice horses that breeze slow for something to go wrong on the day, and it's a very difficult game. They have, you know, 22 seconds, that's it. It's like no forgiveness, and if it doesn't work for them on that day, it just doesn't work. You know, you have to go back to the drawing board and find another home for them. Like, and it's quite pressurised, I have to say, but this year's gone to plan.
Tell us about the Zoffany horse. Obviously he topped the sale in the Guineas, a very exciting horse, this lad. Tell us a little bit about him.
Very exciting horse. As soon as we started to push any buttons at all, we were, you know, pretty excited by him. He was a big horse, and he has a big 1.5 mile pedigree, but he was able to do 6 furlong sections. You know, like anybody who ever rode him was just blown away by him, and he got, you know, better and better all through his prep. We didn't really get stuck into him till probably like 3 weeks before the sale, and he did 2 little fast bits, but just so natural. He could be a very exciting horse. I hope for Richard Hughes' sake he's as good as I think he is, because obviously Richard was very brave and he stepped up and he bought the horse, and I'm very thankful to Richard Hughes and Ted Durkin for buying him. I mean, that was, you know, great guys, and he's gone to a good home, so it'll be exciting to follow.
And of course, I've seen on social media Richard mentioned that he was a standout horse for him and he wanted him at the sale that day.
Yeah, no, I was in the back of my head kind of thinking I'd go over there to that particular sale to top the sale. He just had a lot of class about him, and it doesn't always go to plan. I mean, I could have ended up getting 50 grand from him. I mean, you know, but on the day he did everything he had been doing at home, and he brought it to the table, and happy days. You know, it's great. It's great for everybody.
I look forward to next week then in Fairyhouse. Talk about these 3. We've seen them having their last important breeze up the Vic this morning under Rory Cleary, of course, who rides your horses. We'll speak about the first horse, Oasis Dream. He's a very fast horse, this lad, Cormac.
Yeah, fast horse. Looks like a little ball of speed. He just had a little small setback. Probably should have gone to the Craven. Little small setback. We're in Fairyhouse now next week. If it goes to plan, he'll go fast. You know, it's all about one given day, and if on that day he does what he shows me at home, he'll go very well. He's a very good looking, strong, hardy colt. I like him.
The one I like out of the 3 is the only filly out of the 3 is filly by Caravaggio. She's a beautiful mare, isn't she? And looks like she's only going to be a horse that's going to develop in time.
Yeah, look, she's really nice. Huge action. I mean, she's not going to bust up the clock, but she's going to do a very solid breeze, and is a filly for, you know, 1.25 miles next year. She's going to be smart, yeah, for sure.
And then you have a son of Alzam as well then, who's the 3rd horse on the sale.
Yeah, lovely big handsome horse. Goes well. You know, it's going to take a bit of time. He's still not organised at all. In fact, he's kind of one of the only breezes I've had this year that the penny hasn't really dropped with him. So look, I don't know how he's going to breeze, but I like him. When he's working in company, he works very well, but just on his own at the moment, he's still a bit green, so he'll be fine.
A quick mention about, you mentioned Rory Cleary, who rides your horses in the breeze ups. It's so important. Obviously, if you run a horse on the track, you want a good jockey, you want good lads at home riding them out, but this actually is probably one of the most important parts when you, about the rider when they're on their back is the breeze up. As you mentioned, it's 20, 22, 25 seconds, and Rory Clear is a big part of that, of them looking good and being quicker.
Yeah, look, Rory knows them inside out because he is unbelievable to us. He, rides work for us every week without fail and sits on all the horses regularly. He knows them inside out. He knows exactly how to ride them, and it comes down to 2 furlongs flat out, and changing the legs to the wrong place, or stumbling or anything, like their value falls off the face of the earth. So yeah, look, it's amazing to have Rory on board. He knows them so well. That's the important part for me.
And of course, we're here in the Curragh this morning. You're juggling 2 yards. People obviously know that you train plenty of pointers and have moved on some very good horses over the last few years. And that yard, of course, is in Bunclody. Great gallop there. And then you're juggling here. So what was the decision made in terms of having the breeze up horses here and having the pointers at home? Was it mainly just down to the gallops?
Mostly down to having the correct gallop for the breezers. I was trying to do breezers on a deep surface in Bunclody, and in order to keep the big fine national horses sound, you want the surface nice and deep and go slow, but the breezers want top of the nice surface to let them stride along and you learn how to use their action, and you just can't do the 2 on the same surface, in my opinion anyway. Who am I? Like, lots of people are probably doing it, but I couldn't do it. So this year we tried this, and it's worked out really well. Eventually I want to get a place to amalgamate everything together, and that's what's kind of going to happen eventually. But for the moment, this has been a very good stopgap, and it's worked extremely well. I mean, I've had to do a lot of mileage, but it's worked really well.
A lot of mileage, but of course it's only 45 minutes, 50 minutes, so that does help. But I mentioned for that gallop that you have home in Bunclody, it's obviously served you so well with those jumpers. It's a great gallop, isn't it? Like you mentioned, the deep sands.
Yeah, it's a great gallop. Look, sure, like Groda Loughlin's in there. He had a fantastic year. Anybody that trains off it, like it's a fantastic facility. So it's an awful shame I couldn't put in a suitable gallop there for the breezers as well. Like, really, it's a real shame, but unfortunately I couldn't make it work. So yeah,
I'm happy to use these wonderful facilities.
The facilities in the Curragh are just extraordinary, and they're kept so well. Pat Kelly and all his team, they do an incredible job. So it's a great place to be.
The plan going forward, as you said, you'd like to be able to do everything out of one place and continue doing what you're doing, pointers and breeze up horses.
Yeah, I'd love to keep doing the 2. Like, I definitely feel like I'll probably be a little bit more swayed towards the breezers. The flat is a much more global market for me anyway, and I'm kind of getting left behind with the pointers a little bit. Like, you have to go out and give so much money for a nice store horse now. It's you have to be very brave, and the market is small, really. Like, but the lads who are doing it and are going in big, fair play to them. They are brave men. So I think I prefer to sort of have a larger portion of breeze up horses than pointers going forward.
Good. Well, thanks for having me this morning, and very best luck next week in Fairyhouse.
Thanks a million, Davey. Thanks for coming.